Hello. Welcome. Welcome to a Sunday afternoon live stream. My name is Nicholas Polymonakos. Why do my headphones sound so weird right now? Get my sound together. You'll let me know how it sounds, okay? While I get situated here, we're going to talk about the weekly forecast. We're going to talk about today's transits. We're going to talk about this pattern of music. We're going to talk about whatever comes up in my wild mind and whatever I have to say or do towards you. And whatever else. I'm going to try to keep it concise today. I'm going to try to keep it in a certain way. So saying that, I'm welcome to all of you. That's me on the static screen right there. It says weekly astrology live stream, June 15th to 22nd. And there's my face. And I woke up with a white line around me glowing today. Have you ever had that happen? Have you ever had the blur effect around you when you wake up in the morning? It's wild. It happens to me every so often. It's been pink in the last year, but all of a sudden it's turning into white. So I woke up with the white blur around me, linear blur, and it's kind of making me like stand out in the world or something. And then there's things on my forehead. I can't even. What does that say? It says the little details. Oh my God, this app that I have doing this right now is amazing. I lost myself last night in this. I lost myself in it, and I'm about to go crazy on this app and run things through this thing. And I won't even say the name of the app, but it's harmonious. All right, so let's just get that out of the way. That this is what I've been living in this sound the last 18 hours. I just was just like, and I could do stuff with this. It's wild. And it feels really good. And it's kind of putting, like, I think the next time I use this, there's going to be like a sort of a trap beat behind this. And effects. So let's do this. Yeah, let's do it. I hope my mic isn't crunchy. It sounds that way on my headphones, and I don't know why. So I'm gonna have to be careful with. So hi everybody, how's it going? Whoa, things are just happening already. And GME, hello, thank you. Jendi, channel member, hi Jendi. Steffi G, Revolution, which by the way, it says Steffi G's Revolution. Have you noticed that there's a capital E right there? There's a capital E in the revolution. So if we take the R out, it says evolution. Now, if we took the R out and we put a D instead of the R, we would have de-evolution, which is the premise of the band Devo. If you've ever know about Devo, or you should research how they started that band, this art school college band that they did, and the concept of de-evolution, and it's coming back. Anyway, Steffi G, thank you for the super chat to open up this live stream show on me here. I appreciate it. Tara's in the chat along with bearish is here too. I see a bunch of you too watching at home on your phones most likely, and in a movie theater. I think there's one of you is watching on an 80-foot screen right now. Like, you watch my live streams that way. You rent out the movie theater and watch it, and hopefully, one day it fills up, and everybody's watching in a movie theater with pizza, beer, and popcorn or whatever someone does. But to me, there would be like plenty of cashew butter filled or sunflower butter filled like cups, chocolate cups. So anyway, I can tell you what's on my mind. That's what's up. We're gonna jump in here because I do want to talk about the transits, and I have some side sort of tangential things I'm going to talk about connected with the tangents, the transits today. So, Aya in chat, hello. Yes. All right, let's do this. All right, so let me get myself situated here because I lost everything here now. I have things in front of me, things behind me, things around me. And let's jump in. So let's do it. Let's go here. Hey, this I started the stream, I don't know, I didn't want to do it during Libra Ascendant because I purposely on this channel combat towards Libra things on purpose. Because they're the perfect person to do this with, and plus everything they do and say is based off a chessboard that they're playing, so you have to play chess with them back and then disappear for a while. And while they're left there waiting for your next move, they have to ponder, and then they wonder. And so purposely, I don't like to do things, but here we are in the beginning of a live stream with me here with Uranus with the Libra ascendant. You got to mess with them. You have to. Plus, their mind needs to be whatever, and then once they're off the mindset of I'll do this and get them to do that and this on the chessboard, when you get them off the chessboard and then get them to reveal themselves from within and off the mind thing, because they're very guarded people actually, that when you get there and past that stuff, that's the real relational thing. Okay, so that's my version of it all. Anyway, so saying that, for my Libra and Libra ascendants out there, I will always outmaneuver you, because I'm the only one, Gemini, who sees why you're doing what you're doing. Why? Now, I will succumb to it because some of it's really packaged up through sensory something. So like, I'll do the move that you want me to do. You think I don't know that you're making me do because it's packaged in white chocolate or something, or it feels really good or whatever. But still, I'm not stupid. What I'm really doing is coming right back at you, because once you think you get it, then I'm there. And then the scorpionic part of me is in. I'm in. And there's no way out. And then that's when the real questions, that's when the real chess game happens. That's when I really start to understand who you are, and you better show up and you better step up in situations like that. At least with me. I'm not speaking for all Geminis with major Plutonian scorpionic influence. I just like to start off my live streams like this. So saying that, we have the chart for today. Just another Sunday, as I called this stream. Just another Sunday where we have Uranus and Mars squaring each other. It's been brewing all week, hasn't it? And we've seen it in the world. You've seen it in your daily lives. Now, let me say something here. Many of you who have fixed placements in your chart at later degrees can't be surprised about what's been happening the last couple weeks to build up to this moment in your personal lives. You can't be surprised by it, because this isn't your first time. As a matter of fact, have you gotten a clue that you finally have to do something or eliminate something or push something out the door? It's like you could be creative about this, but why hold on? Why still, from a fixed, stubborn point of view, would you hold on to stories connected to the Taurus and Leo parts of your chart, especially those who are late degrees? Why? How many more lightning bolts to your world to feel drama, especially with Mars and Leo. How much drama do you need to figure it out that you don't need the drama anymore? Don't you want something more than that? Don't you want to now, some people will take advantage of a situation like this, and they figured it out end of last summer when Mars was conjunct Uranus and Taurus. They had something blow up, or even before then, the year before. And I'll get to this. I'm going to show you some stuff. They figured it out. And so they're looking at transits like this, like, oh, secretly, the situation, they don't know I'm already out the door. I was already out the door in my mind. I just been working things for the last so many months. And here's the last 2 weeks with Mars Uranus, and kaboom, you make the move for yourself and you make the action. And everyone's wondering what the hell's going on and where that came from. And you use the transit and you strategically burst it out of a situation or world and created something else, or you came at it from a different angle. That's how one way, or several ways, how a Mars-Uranus situation, for those who have placements in their astrological chart at late degrees here. This isn't over, by the way, because we're going to revisit some of this again from the Taurus angle, and wherever Mars and other planets are going to square or conjunct Uranus here. So just got to mention this. We saw it in politics. We saw it in the last 48 plus hours, and so pretty wild stuff. Gotta admit, it's pretty wild stuff, So saying that, we have that aspect that was official today at 2:46 a.m. Pacific time. We had a Mars-Uranus square. Hello. Then, like 5 hours later, we had officially a Jupiter-Saturn square. The third one in less than a year here. And this third one is different because the last two were in mutable placements. They were Jupiter in Gemini and Saturn in Pisces. And here is a completely different game than that. You're going to wish, I think, for some of you that it was still immutable. But hey, if you need to believe the PR that you see on the internet, everything's perfect with Jupiter and Cancer, go right ahead. But it isn't. And Saturn in here comes in and brings a massive reality check to the beginning of this Jupiter and Cancer transit. On a world level, we're seeing people stand in the past with their country rhetoric behind their flags. Whatever it is, the past, the value systems that support those communities, or what home is, or the ethos, the law and the justice, all that stuff behind a certain situation, a community, country, and all that, and like the doubling and tripling down on this. And then you have others who are like, that's not what it is for me. You've been putting that on me, or you're taking this stuff from the past that seems to have been changing for a while, and you want to go back and keep it in the past. So this Jupiter and Cancer transit off the bat is bringing up interesting situations, I think, on all levels. But here Saturn in Aries is like, no, you're going to thank me later, Jupiter, that I'm going to ask you to slow the F down and get off me. Get off me. You know what I'm saying? Okay, this is what I'm saying when I say get off me. It's like, imagine if you were a independent teenager and your mom came to you and was trying to do things to you that she did when you were 8, 9 years old or 7 years old. So you came home from school like, oh, I'm so glad you made a hug. Tell me everything. But now the mom or whatever, that vibe is trying to do it to the teenager who's like, leave me alone, and then shuts the door in the room. And it's like, get off me. Actually, get out of my world. Get off me. You're coming on way too heavy with either that or some emotional thing or whatever. What are you feeling? Tell me what's going on. And they're like, nothing's going on. Leave me alone. I'm going to be in my room by myself. And Saturn in Aries is sitting here after going through eclipses the last year and a half and a bunch of other stuff, Aries. And they're sitting there and they're having this new sense of independence, but they have to figure out it's new and they need to be alone when they do this. And Saturn creates the container and a contemplative place in Aries. And they're sitting there like, I need to be alone. And Saturn will do that. They'll put you in the cave and they'll put you there and contemplate, and time slows down. And here comes Jupiter and Cancer, just overbearing. That's one version of this. All right. But it's a version that came up in me in the last 24 hours. So, because it's effing true. Okay. So saying that, we have Saturn putting the brake on enthusiastic moon-ruled Jupiter now. The interesting thing about this weekend is on Instagram and something like that, I was talking about how I think the most biggest thing of this weekend in the background with all these transits and the political stuff, everything, was the moon ingress into Aquarius and the conjunction that happened officially yesterday, with Pluto. And in a sense, that is ruling Jupiter in Cancer, right? Right? And then, so you have that, and then Saturn in Aries is ruled by this Mars-Uranus square. It's just all over the place. But in the end, if we get down to the nitty-gritty, to the inside part of whatever, you have an Aquarius moon that is staunch and is wanting independence and give me my space. And if Jupiter in Cancer is trying to push that, it's weird the dynamics that could happen here. You want to be with people and at the same time, give me my space, leave me alone. Now, if Jupiter in Cancer is in a uniquely situation in your world, it's starting off just like intense that way. But once it's going to leave here, I think you have to pay attention every month, obviously, to Jupiter moon conjunctions that are going to happen, right? But there's a couple other things, especially when the moon is going to be in cardinal signs for this transit. This is the important places you're going to track every month, and it's going to be a lot. Now, I would take a Jupiter and Gemini transit with all seems to be the fast planet Mercury going through these signs, but it's not like the moon that it's every 2.5 days going through a sign. It's every month or depending on a retrograde, whatever it is. I would take that instead of now we're going to have Jupiter in Cancer that's ruled by a moon that's changing every 2.5 days. So if you're already a moody person or all over the place, get it together here. Saturn is creating a boundary, and for those, just like slow it down, whatever else. I'm not going all over the place here. These are thoughts that I have in my mind. I wrote, what did I write here 1 a.m? Jupiter over mothering, at least right now. Too close, too vulnerable. Saturn puts the stops, giving me my space. I can feed myself, Jupiter and Cancer. I can do it. Don't sweat it, okay? And Saturn in Aries is at the very beginning part of a story of learning discipline and slowing down, which they don't normally do. They're an impulsive sign, an instinctual sign. So if they're jumping at things and Saturn's putting the slow down, all of a sudden Jupiter in Cancer, it can enhance that, a survival need. But at the same time, the beginnings of a disciplined Saturn in Aries is sitting here going, hey, I got this. I'm going to do this. And the independence of Aries comes in that way, in their alone time, in their sacred space, in the new tools and swords that they're building for themselves. They need it. This is going to be helpful down the line for Jupiter and Cancer. But the transit starts off this way, and it's a square along with Mars-Uranus square. So things must break. Things get to a tension place, and things have to move and grow. And that's what squares are. So I'll get to chat in a second here. I wanted to point these things out, my version of things, my version. I think it's interesting to have a Mars-Uranus thing here at the late degrees here, because I think something interesting. Well, we all know what's going to happen Tuesday. I'm going to get to this because I think it's the biggest transit of the week and for the little bit here, and I'll get to that. But, it's Mars-based. But again, I just wanted to point some things out. One more thing. The thing, listen, on my Instagram, on that little group where I do audio messages, I said something to many of you yesterday, and it had to do with pointing out the Moon-Pluto conjunction in Aquarius. And we're at the beginning of these conjunctions here for 20 years. It just so happens I've been massive political movements and crazy stuff this week, but it culminated on a day here, at least in the United States and other parts of the world. There were protests too that deal with the Middle East and some other stuff, some economic protests. But, we look at the other transits, the squares, but it was Moon-Pluto in the background. And you have a story, I think, where those in power, those who in power are using a facade of something new to build and something new to give. Let's say it's tech fucking overlords that have influence on governments. But at the same time, it's very dogmatic. And they're holding the fire. They're holding like the thing that we all inherently need. And then you have on other sides of it where you have people who have lost their power gradually and have had it taken away in whatever forms, economically or with their rights or whatever else, right? And yesterday and lately, you see this since Pluto came into Aquarius, but yesterday you saw on a mass level people older who have been here before, by the way. I would consider myself one of these people because I was involved politically in things in the past and know what it is to do marches and other actions that have nothing to do with protests on the Saturday afternoon, stuff like that. But you have people who are like, I want that fire. That's ours. This is ours. It's mine, but not just mine. It's all of ours. And so you have different ways of the Aquarius archetype being played out here. And so you see this, and it happens on the day, and it's the beginning. And that's why the theme of this channel, when I have told you about trusting yourself or being prepared and knowing that you're prepared, that knowing you can pull stuff off even when you don't have the confidence to do it, it's like flexing a muscle. And yesterday, and what's happening right now, was a massive training for this. Not everybody can go out on a march, right? But a lot of people feel empowered and feel pretty good probably today. But the shit starts right back up tomorrow. And the bigger foundational things for change within community and society takes place over a long time, and there's conflict along the way. Remember, the Pluto and Aquarius situation is Saturnian based. So it's going to take a long time, along with Pluto taking a long time, but it's foundational. And many of those foundations are cracking or some need to be built up, and it takes time. There are moments symbolically, like the last 48 hours, that show what is possible and gives a sense where someone touched and grabbed the flame. Now, July 7th, 8th, when Uranus goes into Gemini, Uranus, Prometheus, if you know the myth and story of how Prometheus, the Titan, basically stole the flame, basically to mess with Zeus and gave the power of fire to regular human beings so they can advance themselves in society instead of being subservient to Zeus and the gods, was a massive Uranian and massive Gemini type of move. And you have that playing out. And so when we have Uranus and Gemini pulling in here with Pluto and Aquarius, we're now getting a taste. Uranus will go into Gemini briefly, will go retrograde back into Taurus, along with the other planets going retrograde. But once we get into next year, from now until next year, when Uranus is fully into Gemini for 7.5, 8 years, and Pluto's there for 20, there is no going back. There is no going back. You might as well be crafty, be ingenious, and take chances. And the thing about planets in air and planets in fire, they're really good at this, and they're really good at movement, right? Sometimes they lose the sense of being grounded. You'll deal with that challenge later. But you take advantage of fire and air, and you take advantage with risking, and you could be very calculative and fun and ingenious and trickster about all this. And I think many people here this week, it took them a while since January when the admin changed in the United States, a lot of apathy. Then I saw it yesterday. I finally saw it. I saw young people out on the streets along with the other generations. And the older generations, the last so many months, they were really much the only ones pretty much out there trying to do some collective action. But yesterday, you saw it, and you saw younger people. They got a taste now. They're feeling it. They got pushed to the edge. They felt like they had to do something. And I've been waiting for this. And, they are like, oh, and I'll bet you there's plenty of people yesterday who had their first taste of something with strangers collectively. And they're like, oh, wait a second. And it's not so apathetic anymore. It's not, there's actually hope and idealism, like, oh, we can do this. There's a reality of how hard it's going to be. But at least for a day, someone new tasted what it is to steal the fire. So that is what's on my mind with some of the stuff here. I'll get to the transits of the week, But this thing doesn't go away. And if you're one of these people, whether you were participating or you were watching, you know, for those participating in certain ways, that you're autonomously doing what you need to do for yourself. At the same time, you are representing those who cannot do it or be there in that way. So that's a very Aquarius thing, right? Very Aquarius. And a reminder that actions like yesterday are just one part of the puzzle. There are many people out there who can't go do stuff like that, but are looking for ways to participate. And I think that is the other key to all this. And we will see it with the transits. So on that note, I wanted to start off by saying this and getting this one out of the way. Revel in it. If you're feeling like, okay, it's on. But you have to know reality-wise, when people are holding power and they have the resources and the tools, they will double and triple down. And we have an interesting 3 months ahead with all of this, okay? So saying that, I'll get that out of the way, and we're going to jump in. And while I do this and get to past today in the chart, I want to acknowledge I have Scorpio 6 here, Sarah Metland, who probably came in when I was talking about Libra stuff. Black Moon Jesus, good, glad that you're here. Queen Victor's here. Tracy's here too. Linda Calder, Mani, a channel member. These are channel members who you could see the golden wings that subscribe to my channel, and I also have Patreon members. Titian X is here. Astro Stephanie AV, welcome, good to see you. Dora Destroys jumping in here too. Strings of Apollo Astrology. Good to see you from Austin. I'm sure it's only like a cool 100 degrees maybe down there. So saying that, let's jump in. That's what I want. That's today. That's some of the transits that happened today. And we have, the moon's still in Aquarius. And tomorrow, basically, the moon will go into Pisces, right? As we start Monday, at least where I am. One more time for those in the back. We had a Moon-Pluto conjunction in the last 24 hours. The third Saturn square here with Jupiter. Jupiter is lucky. I don't have to do a square again. And a Mars-Uranus square that happened in fixed signs. I didn't make a Jupiter and Cancer video. I'm going to let that one come to me. But you can go to my videos. You could see a video that I did with Mark Lawrenson, an astrologer from Australia. We just talk about what it is in general. I actually like that, talking with Mark. He's just such a good person to talk to, and he draws me out, so in a different way, not like on these live streams. All right. So saying that, let's go to the next day here on the 16th here, and we will have the moon basically trying the sun square. Now, the moon's kind of funny here tomorrow, because the moon's going to basically, before it goes into Pisces at the late degrees of Aquarius, is actually going to continue a little bit of what we dealt with the last several days. And I'll do it right here. I'll pick, where's the moon? I'm sorry if it's right here. So I'll do it right here. Basically, the moon at the late degrees of Aquarius is going to square Uranus, and opposite, moon or Mars in Leo, and we have a T-square, and we have a, hold up, I just did something. Did you just see what I just did? I just took off the aspects. On this wheel. Less is more, people. I'm watching videos. I'm seeing people on social media, and they're putting charts and doing green screen with charts, and they got all the asteroids. They have all the stuff there. And I'm like, okay, I'm sure you can handle all the knowledge, but like the middle here, like the middle of the chart will be filled with so much shit. I have a thing about swearing on this channel, and I actually think it's putting my channel down on the rankings. I'll get to that at the end of the stream. I have evidence of this. Anyway, so you have all these aspects, and it's like, what? It's like, okay, that's great, but like, if you were talking to a client or showing somebody who didn't know astrology, I mean, it looks cool. Like, look at all that stuff, but at the same time, I'm like, that is a lot. So I can understand looking at this stuff, but it's almost too much. So anyway, I turned this off because I even have Potomac aspects here and something else, and I even have to turn it off. All right. Moon in Aquarius tomorrow, Uranus, and here's Mars. And you could see here in fixed signs, we have a square. This is called with a T-square right here, right? So this continues the Mars square with Uranus, and the moon here really sets it up. And I think it's interesting when we wake up in the morning, at least here in the States, that there's the continuation of what happened the last 5 days, the last week with Mars Uranus continues and gets set off by the moon. You should expect certain things here tonight and tomorrow here that are going to reflect this, okay? And so you're not like out of it yet. I mean, the moon in Aquarius comes in to set this thing off, right? And then I'll get into something else about Mars here too, but I wanted to point that out. Okay, so the moon basically is going to square Uranus in its opposite Mars, as I showed you, and then it's like at 11:08. I'll just go forward here. 1 more hour. This is roughly here. You could see the moon goes into Pisces. A little bit of relief, I think, after the tension of fixedness, there. I don't want to... Okay, I'll get to the other stuff here. I'm going to jump to the next day. Okay. Let's jump to the 17th of which is my Tuesday. And we see the moon here is creeping up to make a conjunction with the north node. But something happens here, and there it is. It's Mars going into Virgo here on Tuesday, my time at 1:35 in the morning, a.m. Pacific time. We got about 24 hours, a little bit left of Mars being in Leo, and we have finally ended a Mars transit that has pretty much been in Cancer and Leo since September of 2024. It was the September 1st to the 4th where Mars went into Cancer. Mars went there all the way to late. It was November when it went into Leo at the end, and then in the beginning of December, it went retrograde in Leo, and then came back into Cancer in January. And we did the whole spring in the northern hemisphere, at least. We did eclipses and retrogrades with Venus retrograde, Mars retrograde. We did all this stuff, and we finally get to be done with this. I mean, I understand these transits, but I think we're just overdue. I think a lot of people are excited for Jupiter and Cancer to go in. I'm like, whatever. That stuff's got to sink into me at least for another month for me to really grasp it. But for me, it's like the thing I was most kind of like excited for. I'm like, okay, let's move forward now and move the story along. Is Mars going into Virgo here on the 17th? And we finally get to do this. So Mars is going to be in Virgo pretty much for almost 2 months here. I'll get to the dates. I'll mention them. I just needed to put my face on the screen to tell you this, that I think this is monumental. It's monumental here, and it's a shift, a massive shift that happens. And remember, for brief time this summer in the northern hemisphere, winter in the southern, and which, by the way, I'm doing research about seasons in Australia, and they're not necessarily 4 seasons. The Aboriginal way of looking at seasons, that's for another thing. It's fascinating. It is so incredibly fascinating. So they got more than 4 seasons down there, basically. So anyway, the transit of Mars then in Virgo, at least for almost 2 months, is going to pretty much feed the Saturn and Neptune situation that's going to happen here while they're in the sign, So all of a sudden, Mars, it's not Leo anymore. It's Virgo, And by the way, you could tell here, just an example. Here's Virgo, and here's the opposite sign, polarity and opposition, basically Pisces, right? But in astrology, Virgo can't see. They can't see it. They're like averse. This is an inconjunct, a quincunx. They can't see each other. It's like a blind spot. If it was directly across there, if it was in like an earth sign right here, they would see each other. That's a trine. Same thing here with Taurus. They would see each other. This is a 120-degree trine. Here is a square, squaring off with mutable, or right down here. But here, like Aries or let's say Aquarius, Mars and Virgo doesn't see them, and they don't see each other. So in a sense, this isn't the easiest of Mars placements for someone, or for the fuel and the planetary ruler of Saturn and Neptune that we see here. So there's some interesting work to be done here, and it will seem kind of funky in some ways, okay? Excuse me. Just getting over something. I'm still at the tail end when I'm talking here. So anyway, I want to point this out. Let me tell you exactly. I'm just going to look it up and say it to you. Mars goes in on the 17th, and it will go into Libra on August 6th. So it's just less than 2 months. Just so you know, that's the transit dates for that. Now, we have a Mercury-ruled sign here. So off the bat here, for at least a little bit, and let me tell you, Mercury is moving super fast right now. Okay? Then it's going to slow down eventually, to do a retrograde in Leo. But here we have Mars in Virgo ruled by Mercury, or ruled by Mercury in Cancer, and we have Jupiter in Cancer here. So in a sense, there's an interesting thing going on building up here, right, between water and earth. So that gives you something to use. And was something we'll talk about the transit that happens at the end of this week that has to do with this. But I just wanted to point this out, okay? We're dealing with a sign, Mars, highly precise, super critical, in good and messed up ways, hyper detailed, Mars pushing this, nervous system in general, okay? Along with Gemini's, nervous system is so sensitive with these folks. And your Virgo, Mars is going to be pushing this. Over worry could happen with this transit. At the same time, if one is refined with Virgo characteristics, it is the refinement of skill from an earthbound way that Virgo develops and becomes very honed and very precise about. And in this way, this is how you use it for the transit. And it's going to make several aspects along the way. Some are really tough. I will talk about this. But I'm just giving you a general thing here of what's about to be pushed through action and initiation, and almost sometimes overdoing with Mars and Virgo here, okay? So it's a Mercury-ruled thing. It will have to deal with Mercury in Cancer. And briefly, if I'm correct, Mercury and Leo too will be fueling this. So that happens on Tuesday, and I'm going to say more to this. I'm going to get to it. Actually, do I do it right now? Do I deviate? No, I'll do it a couple days down the line. I have plans for something here. No, I do deviate right now. I'm going to deviate here because I wanted to do something. Okay, so saying that, I went there. But again, let me take a step back. Okay? 29 degrees Leo, and we have the square that happened here. Okay? Now, what I want to do here, and this is for reference, and I'll do it as quick as possible, is I want to look at Mars-Uranus connections recently, and then in the future. Not too far in the future, and not too far back, okay? So let's do this. So basically, in this program, and by the way, I use ASTRO Gold. This is my program, my main program. And I'll do this here on the screen. You could see what I was looking at. I'm going to pick Mars, the last time that Mars was square Uranus. Okay? And it was March 9th of 2024. And I'm going to put this here because I want you to see this. Here is Mars at 19 Aquarius, and then you could see here, 19 Taurus. Okay, so we have a fixed square. All right. Then I want to look at. No, that's 2024. Give me a second here. 2022. Here is Mars. This is Mars conjunct Uranus that happened here last July. Remember all the stuff that happened with Trump and the so-called assassination attempt and all this stuff. It was that whole week that this happened at 26 degrees. Again, those in the second decan, the third decan of fixed signs are late degrees of that decan. This is affecting you. So we're just going back. I'm just looking here, okay? So there's that. That's last year. When is the next way I could do this? Give me a second. I gotta do this on screen so you can see what the hell I'm doing. Then here we are. This weekend, right? Where is it? There's 28. There's Leo right there. We have the square. Okay. Let's just go to the next square. No, we'll go to the next. Yeah, we'll go to the next square that happens. This is February 27th, 2026. Right, mira, donde está? Right here, late degrees, 27 degrees Aquarius, right? And here is Uranus back because of a retrograde that happens later this year. It will be, Uranus will go back into Taurus. After going into Gemini on July 7th, Uranus will go back into Taurus. I think it hits 29 degrees on November 7th of this year in November, and then it's going to go back and backtrack one more time. And you could see it has to go retrograde, then station forward, and here it is, station forward moving, and here we have another Mars-Uranus square here. I'm only saying this and showing you this stuff because it's very pertinent to what's been happening last year and this year politically, and these are the connection points, okay? So one more thing I want to show you is, and I'll look at chat in a second, is the next Mars-Uranus conjunction. And this is July of next year on 2026. Super important chart here because it's in Gemini. And basically, in a sense, you could see here, by the way, Pluto's retrograding back here, that Pluto's in the game on this one, and it's because of a sextile that's happening that starts to happen symbolically here in a month, but next year, right? And then here comes a Mars-Uranus conjunction that happens here. And this happens to be basically, if you look at the time here, it's 11:07 p.m. July 3rd. Basically, it's July 4th for most of the world, which is the birthday of the United States. And as we all know, or those who follow one of the many USA charts, but the prevalent main ones, if they're using July 4th, 1776, but you can't base it on there, and I won't get in. This is not my cup of tea. The mundane astrologers know what I'm talking about. There's a bunch of different charts for different things for the history of the USA. Regardless, this conjunction, and it happens pretty much on July 4th of next year, and the chart of the USA has Uranus and Gemini. And you better prepare yourself for this one because it's about to go off. If you don't think it's gone off now, it will here in the next year. But symbolically here, we have it. And you'll see here Jupiter at this point will be in Leo, etc., etc. And we're at the last degrees of the Pisces Virgo stuff. All right. I'll look at chat whenever's. Okay. I deviated. I just want to show you for those watching later. I want you to keep track of this stuff yourself, okay? All right. So we're back to this week's forecast. The 17th, Mars goes into Virgo. On the 18th, the moon goes into Aries, okay? There's the moon making a conjunction to Saturn and Neptune, and we should know now that day it is going to square Jupiter and keep the Saturn-Jupiter square situation going. That officially happens at 4:07 p.m. Moon goes into Aries, and then within the next 3 to 4 hours, we have Moon conjunct Saturn, Moon square Jupiter, Moon conjunct Neptune, and then we get to 8:15. Actually, I'm going to do it this way because I have a feeling about something. I'll just pick this. It's 8:15 that we officially have our Neptune-Jupiter square now. After a Jupiter-Saturn square, we have this happen here on Wednesday at 8:15 p.m. Now, what does Jupiter do after being squared by Saturn and having its limitations put on its like emotional vision and its sense of like the hugging? or the pinchers are just out and they're just like, stay away from me. Again, we got to remember some base core principles of Jupiter and Cancer about, in a sense, the nurturer and the protector and how much security means for everything. But there's usually stories and ancestry and a long story of family that's connected to all this, for better or worse. The belief and emotional processing is a positive way of looking at this. We do it through the home, we do it through the belly, basically. And lunar stories are everything. Now, this is foundational stuff because a lot of times Cancer deals with foundations, internal foundations, or foundations that are created within the home. And a lot of times Capricorn deals with the external Saturnian foundations that happen outside of there. And how those two signs, polarity points, are supposed to branch each other, right? Hopefully there's a bridge that's created between the two. Regardless, Jupiter's enhancing and feeling and needing to get a more visionary, philosophical sense of what home means, okay? So saying that, here comes Neptune to square all this, and this is where it can get lost. And this is a week for Jupiter, and just Cancer people in general. It's just a week for anybody who's got beginning degrees in cardinal, okay? So saying that, I think what happens here and what can happen, it's already in this. It was part of this weekend. It's part of it is you can get caught up in an idealistic view here of Jupiter, and Saturn puts the square, but Neptune is in on this too. The positive way of looking at this is there's a deeper, longer spiritual, philosophical vision and truth to all this kind of stuff. And in a sense, Neptune lends its boundaryless way of not managing, but losing oneself in that. And that could be great. At the same time, is it real or is it not? And so it's interesting that Jupiter has this tests in the beginning with Saturn and Neptune off the bat. And I think it's a good way to start a transit because it starts to evaluate, either clear things away that are kind of not true or not foundational. Saturn creates that, but the Saturn-Neptune position together does give foundations for something bigger to occur, right, farther down the line. And that is one way to look at it. But the other way is, Jupiter in Cancer wants to go big. And Neptune will enhance that at times, and it can be completely and utterly false and not real and kind of like mentirosa, like a lie, So it's lost in a vision, and it's like if Jupiter is trying to enact something, enact itself, and shoot its arrow or shoot its bigness in the sign of Cancer, it's trying to enact it with no foundation. Saturn's trying to give it, but Neptune's fucking with it too. So depending on the person and the situation, it can lose itself without something true to it, right? So a lot of the transits like this, the way I feel, they're very basic, and they should be. They should not be pushed immediately and rushed, right? That's why I'm glad for Mars to leave Leo. You know what I mean? I'm glad for that to be that. I need to take a couple steps back and get really introverted in Virgo, right? It just needs to do this. It doesn't need to be fueling stuff. It's just, it's for me, I just see things too big, too fast, right? And that's what happens with Jupiter. But Neptune, basically what appears to be concrete to Jupiter, it's not. Okay, and it could be that way. All right, now, there's other ways of looking at this because it would deal with false narratives, false paths, all that kind of things. We want to stay grounded, but we still want to understand and explore the philosophical truth of things, right? The bigger reasons for something of a Jupiter in Cancer transit and what it really means. And no decisions need to be made there. They just have to be pondered. And they'll be pondered this week, I think. And I think as an aftermath, and that's why I call this live stream Aftermath. It's an aftermath of what has happened recently since Jupiter's going into Cancer and, Saturn going into Aries. There's kind of a gut check, a checkpoint after this weekend and an aftermath of letting the pieces fall where they are and not pushing Jupiter, any of the planets. Saturn's not going to push anything. They'll push boundaries, but they're not wanting to move fast. So, Neptune's kind of dissolving those boundaries, but at the same time, giving a deeper vision to what that is, if we're going to work with this. So slow the F down is what I'm saying to you. And if you can stay grounded, you can use a Jupiter-Neptune square. If your feet are on the ground, again, why? Why home insecurity? What does that mean to me? What does it mean to other people I'm connected to and family? You know, decisions, you know, it's just pondering and exploring that. But you want to have a sense of a container. Use Saturn to give you the container and the reality. Use whatever else you can hold on to emotionally, right? You doesn't have to get all heavy emotionally. If we look at this chart, though, for what it happens, it's like the moon is in Aries, and it's just like, oh, shit. Like, can you, one, not be all riled up and just like me first, or like whatever one's feeling initially? It's just at the forefront, and it means everything at that time. It means everything. Thankfully, Mars in Virgo is sitting here. If it was in Leo, it'd just be like continuation of what's been happening lately with this transit, Mars and Leo transit. But we have it in Virgo, and there is a reasoning and you know, detail to all this, and it just got to slow it down. The other part of this, it can be hypercritical here when emotionally expressing itself, the moon in Aries with all of this, okay, and with Jupiter fueling. It's just an interesting week. To me, it's an aftermath week, and I will look at it that way, and I would be the observatory, okay? What else did I write here? Stay grounded. Deep, profound feelings is what I wrote here. Inflated idealism when it comes to family and country is what I wrote. Seduction of past memories, basis of culture and country. Look at what did I write here? Look at the midpoint, Nicholas. Oh, okay. So, I just rambled about this stuff and of the flavor of this. And then it's not secret anymore, but I look at midpoints with certain things here, and I like to keep track of that. I'm not going to explain this kind of stuff, but I'm going to pull up a chart here. It's interesting. I wrote to myself, look at the midpoint graph, Nicholas. Venus and Taurus midpoint of Jupiter square Saturn, Jupiter square Neptune. What was I saying to myself? So I'm looking for the midpoint between basically Jupiter's square Saturn and Neptune, right? So let's do it, okay? Here's a quick way of doing it. I have a midpoint graph on the software that I use, and I'm looking here for the 18th, okay? That's what I have it at that day, and I'm looking to, astrology programs, good ones, will have things like this. It will give me the midpoint for any chart, for all the combinations of planets, right? This is deep work. You could start getting into it stuff just basically with your natal chart. You want to see the midpoint of your Mars-Venus connections? That's a good place to start. Or the Sun-Moon, between the Sun and Moon in your chart, go find the midpoint between the two, because when transits happen there, it will affect your Sun and Moon connections, okay? So whatever. You could see the concept I'm saying here. So let me just go look. I'm looking here. It's 16 degrees Taurus is the midpoint. It looks like for Saturn, Neptune, or Saturn, Jupiter, Saturn, and Saturn, Neptune. Okay, it's right there. And then we see 16 to 17 Taurus. Okay, right now in this chart on Wednesday, Venus is at 13 degrees. Okay, so when does it hit? It's going to happen soon. I'll go by the day. I'll go by like, there's 15 here on the 20th. Happy solstice. Here's the next day, 16 with the moon. You could see the moon-Venus connection, and then you see it moving here in the next hour or next day on the 22nd. Basically, Venus is in Taurus here. So in a sense, it continues the situation between like Saturn and Neptune, Saturn, Jupiter, in a sense, has a connection to this place here with Venus and Taurus. And it's kind of the place in the midpoint of the square itself that where, in a sense, one can find a way in a solution, or it's really tightly wound up. But I just wanted to point this out to you. It's something that I never do on the stream, but I want to point out basic things that I do sometimes privately. Listen, you could have your own opinions about working with midpoints and midpoint trees and all that kind of stuff. Just wanted to point this out to you, okay? I wrote it late last night to myself. Look at the midpoint of this stuff, Nicholas. Is that a place for me to find a solution? Is that a place for me to go? Now, if I'm looking at Venus and Taurus here, I'm like, okay, I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take a grounded approach in a chill way this week with shit. In the aftermath, please, people, like, life is ebb and flow and tension release. If you find yourself constantly in tension, it has to break. The tension broke this weekend. It will build up and there'll be bullshit this week to deal with politically or whatever else is affecting you. Try to be chill this week. Anyway, I think after the moon in Aries moves forward and goes into Taurus, we get it with a moon-Venus conjunction at these degrees. I'm going to go back. That I talked about Jupiter-Neptune. We're here on the 19th now. Moon is in Aries still. There's no major aspects that happens this day. The 20th here. Then we have the moon go into Taurus. And then it happens right there. I just nailed it. We have moon going to Taurus. And then we have the summer and winter solstice that happens here at basically 7:42 p.m. on June 20th. Merry, happy solstice to all of you watching this. And we start the Cancer birthdays. Goodbye, Sun in Gemini. Goodbye. Until next year. Until next year, when you will be one of the fundamentally most important signs in the next 8 years, because we will have Uranus in your sign, Gemini. So it's chill right now. You just did a Jupiter in Gemini transit for a year. Take what you learned from all of that stuff. All right, soon, Venus is going to go into Gemini for the summertime, wintertime for some of us. That's cool. But enjoy your world, because Geminis, you get a clue on the 7th of July. Your world is about to get rocked. And then next year, when it comes to Gemini birthdays, we will fully be in full thievery, rebellious mode. And if you set Geminis off on a rebellious mode, they're unpredictable as it is, and you throw an unpredictable planet like Uranus in there, get ready for a wild ride, my Gemini people. You might even seem overwhelmed by this. Some, bring it on. And I'm like, okay. It's like, get ready. So anyway, goodbye, Gemini birthdays. Hello, Cancer birthdays, which already you see the building conjunction that is happening between the Sun and Jupiter. And we get into some serious Jupiter and Cancer story here. Now it's going to be enhanced by the Sun here for the next month after this. That's what happens. When we get into, I'll take this, look at this. We'll take this ingress. Look at this. We have a Sun. We basically have we're dealing with last quarter. Am I correct? Last quarter here. Not last quarter. We're dealing with a waning sextile that's happening, if I'm correct here. Yes, a waning sextile between the Sun in Cancer and the Moon in Taurus. Eventually, we will do the new moon here on the 25th in Cancer, which is huge because it's with Jupiter. It's for another forecast, whatever. We're pointing this out. Important day here, okay? Saying that, we get into the next day. I'm an hour in. I thought I was going to do this an hour. It's my tangents that I went on. We're done the next day on the 21st. We want to point out that Mercury here in Cancer makes a connection and trine to North Node in Pisces, and it also makes the sextile to here, okay? We got that, right? That's pretty good. Moon in Taurus for the next weekend. We do Moon-Venus conjunction late that night on Saturday, or you could see it here for those there. Oh, man, that's like, got some feelings going on. I got to be talking about my feelings, and then you got Moon in Taurus with Venus. Holy shit, that's one way to get intimate. That's one way to share things from a water earth-based kind of way, Wow. You talk about Mercury and Cancer, the Sun being there, and Jupiter. Like, oh my God, that's like overloaded consumption of drink and food and comfort. Remember that if you need the oasis, it could be that way. Just don't overload. Just don't overload there with Moon, Venus, and Taurus. But damn, it sure tastes good. Once you get a taste of honey, you can't stop. You know what I mean? Well, that's me. And I paid the price for that in my life. I've definitely paid the price for it. But while it's happening, shit. Feed me. So anyway, so there's that. Okay, we're gonna go into that, and then we're gonna go into the 22nd because something very important happens overnight here, within hours, and we're building it. I'll point it out here already. I'll point it out. You see Mars here at 2 degrees, right? And we see Jupiter here at 2 degrees. We have this going on in the background of that weekend here, and we see the sextile that is building, and it is official within hours of this, and we'll go, I think it's 3 something in the morning. Am I correct? 2:46 a.m. Pacific on the 22nd. We have a Jupiter and the sun, really. Jupiter Mars sextile, and it's here that Jupiter gets a break after the week and after what it had to deal with Saturn and Neptune in the beginnings, and with the sun, it kind of like gets to have a little help from Mars and Virgo. And so basically we kind of go towards the end of the week with some interesting transits that are very grounded, actually, I think, overall, and that can be used. I wrote here that Mars sets up an active system, our harmonious active system for Jupiter. Now, it just went through the square. It still is being squared by Saturn and all that, right? We still see this. You could see what else is happening here, but we still have this stuff happening around here. Let me just keep this from a circle point of view of how it's affecting Jupiter, right? And then here is the other part, and then it's here that we have no, that's the wrong place. It's here that we have the sextile, right? So this is a great oasis place here, and that's why I'm talking about aftermath this week and to kind of ground yourself, because the closer we get to the weekend with the moon in Taurus, and then we have Mars kicking in as a supportive opportunistic sextile with the sun and Jupiter, it helps the Jupiter situation out. And I think here that Mars, like I wrote, sets up an active harmonious system for Jupiter to bestow and to start the emotional growth path, right? And in a sense, Mars in Virgo creates a interesting, detailed process and tool and regimented container for Jupiter to deal with its vision. And in a sense, Mars in Virgo creates, I think, a safety place, like a safety net container, so Jupiter can start to function and do what it's starting to learn in the beginning of this transit with its influence on Saturn, with its influence of Saturn and Neptune here. Virgo gives Jupiter the tools. This is how the plan. This is the instruction manual, or let's write the instruction manual for your transit, basically. And here's step 1, and here's step 2, and blah blah blah. And it's like, hey, we'll take it because there's moon. It's still in Taurus. We'll take this. We'll take this kind of map here. And I wrote, what else? Go slow is what I wrote here on my notes. Mars in Virgo creates a course on learning, creates a course, is what I wrote here, on emotional interaction and narratives for the upcoming year. And so the beginning of this transit is so interesting for Jupiter in Cancer. I think for those people out there who are like already doing astrological magic and elections, let me just say something. That's not my shtick. I'm not going to do it. There's way too many people thinking they're experts on this. I would only pick certain people in the world to do stuff like that. And if I'm going to make anything, it's for myself, because I'm not trying to do that. But I know people are doing stuff. But why would you make anything in the beginning of this transit when Jupiter and the sun are close to each other? Basically, the sun's beams, Jupiter has to deal with the sun for a while here until it starts to move away, or the sun moves away from Jupiter. This is very internal type of stuff, movements. Jupiter wants to push itself out here as we deal with the square as I'm doing this live stream, but it's just not there yet. It needs to go through something first before it can start to free itself, even though it's trying to. Hence, you have Neptune and Saturn involved, and hence the sun is kind of overwhelming Jupiter. But Mars is coming in with the plan here, as you could see here and all this. These are my thoughts on this. So I wrote, creating a course on emotional interaction and emotional narratives for Jupiter and Cancer. Go slow. I wrote and underlined. I wrote this. Underlines. Okay? So, saying that, that's what happens here as we get to Sunday. I really like that transit for what it is. It's also, you could see here, to finish up, the sun square. Saturn situation for those in early cardinal. This is a toughie. This is very resisting, challenging the sun. So again, all of this stuff that's happening to Jupiter and the sun in Cancer, this is your place. Is the task person, the detailed, critical person, the person who, the sign in Mars where it can just concoct it for you. Just follow the steps. Just trust them. Trust Mars and Virgo to like, you take this herb and you put this herb and then we're going to make your belly calm. It's like, sometimes depending on the fire and some places are going to say ginger, but ginger can do that to digest it, but it's actually heat. So you need to understand the details for what herb to use from what situation for your own particular Cancer case. And Mars and Virgo just knows what to put together to do this, and you just listen and you follow the instructions and you ask a lot of questions, okay? And then if Jupiter in Cancer and the sun in Cancer are going to cry, well, because blah, blah, and then Mars and Virgo is kind of waiting for you to be done. It's like, just do this, and this, okay? And take a deep breath. Calm down. Slow down, because you're making my nervous system fucking go crazy, okay? I don't need you to get all heavy emotional on me right now. We're just doing a simple water earth connection here. It's chill. It's all good. Just look to Venus and the moon and Taurus. It's all good. It's all good, okay? Don't worry about Saturn. Don't worry about Neptune right now. It's the details. It's the small things. It's the little details. It's the little details. The little details. The little details. Details. There's the one side of details, and the chop wood carry water part of Virgo. There's what we need that. We're so grateful for the rituals. But man, you get one that's off balance. You get a Mars and Virgo that's off balance, they just can't help it, can they? They just like get all grumpy and apathetic sometimes, and man, nothing's ever right. Got to be careful of that. But now, for that transit with Cancer, it's a good thing. But down the line with the Mars and Virgo transit, it can get kind of funky, can it? It can get all too much into the details. Can't sleep. Nervous system shot. How precise can you get? How critical can you get? Geez, you ever been about Virgo energy when they're hypercritical and they just say it in a cold way? It's just like, ugh. It's just like, God, like it's a fucking wet blanket. So, there's different ways that this could happen, But hell, let's take a look at something actually. Now that I said that, there's something on my mind. There's something on my mercurial mind about Mars and Virgo. What is it? What if I went a month ahead on a chart here, and I went here, and let's say I went to July 20th. And what is going on then? Why is this mercurial download happening to me right now? Why do I have to put this chart up on July 20th? Because Mars, leading up to that day, will make a conjunction to the South Node in Virgo. And this is where it gets weird and can be wicked for Virgos, and a lesson being learned here. And this is a very hard transit for those affected by this. Anything mutable here, the late degrees here, 19, 20, 21, this is a part of the eclipse story. And I wanted to bring this up. So this Mars and Virgo transit has its uses, and then it overuses, and it gets to a place where something needs to be eliminated. And anytime we hit a planet that's hitting the south node, we have to think about elimination and something that's being purged out or energy getting sucked out. And if Mars is hitting the south node, that's some energy getting sucked out. And it's a mercurial-based thing with a Mercury retrograde that will be happening around that time in Leo. And you could see how it's thwarted, how it's off kilter. The details don't work. The system doesn't work. The over worry, the hypercriticalness, the skill seems off. The nervous system shot, digestive system. Again, for those there, we have to remember this is coming down the line. We have to remember this about this transit. And another mercurial-based place, since Virgos rule that, we have a moon Uranus conjunction that's going to happen that day. Everything mercurial is going to seem wacky, and it'd be that way. I'm just pointing this out to you, how important this is. Okay? This 18, 19 to 20 degree place in mutable. All right? So we got that. But hey, let's just keep going. Let's go somewhere else into the future. Let's go somewhere else to, I'll just say September. And we will pick the week of September 7th to the 13th. If you don't know about this week, you should, because you should be looking at it right now. I'll pick September 7th. You see something brewing here? I'll make it official. This is a lunar eclipse that's going to happen. And it is here at 15 degrees. All right? Now we see Saturn is on the game here in the retrograde at 29. We have two retrograde planets. Uranus now going retrograde at 1 degree. We have the hint of this with Pluto there. But that's something. But what we're really looking at is Mercury here, because here it's at 10 degrees, right? Now, if I go back to that week, and I'll go by the days. Here's the eclipse day, the 7th. We're paying attention to Mercury. Okay? Wait. There it is. 10. Okay? Next day. We keep going. We see Mercury, 16. Now it's getting close. We have a sun. We see here, we have a sun south node conjunction that's happening at 18 degrees in Virgo, right? What I mentioned earlier, what's going to happen in July. And then we have Mercury coming here to do a triple conjunction, to create a triple conjunction right here between here. Okay? You see it? You got it. Next day, that's September 11th. There is the Mercury going into the sun. It's going to do a conjunction here with the node. Huge month, September in general for everybody. But I wanted to show you this because of what is going to happen here with the Mars and Virgo transit. Mars will be out of there in the sign, but then Mercury is going to bring up the rear and hit these specific degrees. So if you're someone who is mutable and has these placements, I'm going back to, where am I going back to? July 20th, where we have the conjunction of Mars and the node here, 18, 19, 20 degrees. This is a specific message for those mutable people and people who are affected by the South Node in Virgo and North Node in Pisces story. These are huge moments here in the next couple of weeks or the next couple of months, and I wanted to put this and say this on camera as a little bonus for you, because I think the Mars and Virgo transit is pretty good until it's not for some people, and it's basically hitting an eclipse story, okay? So saying that, I am done with doing that. I'm sorry I didn't interrupt with chats. I didn't come through. I appreciate all of you. I know you're doing well in chat. I hope you are. I just want to say hi to everybody who I didn't. Dale Dobson, 11T, Rose Waters in here. Dex Patina, good to see you. Yeah, who else? M is in here. Melissa Carey, Lilac Tree. Oh, Nada with the super chat. Thank you so much. I wish I can put a reply to that. Thank you, Nada Conley, for a $10 donation on here. Amanda Denfield's in here too. Lilac Tree. Nada, thank you. Thank you for that. For the pear that's got a bandana on its head, and it looks like it's trying to work out and deal with the curves and maybe to enhance the curves of the pear. I really don't know, but thank you for the super chat. Bella's here. Glad you're catching it too. Dora Destroy and MC's in the house. Did I get everybody? Yeah. So I always look at this after. I appreciate the super chats. I've gotten a couple of them. By the way, you could see how people are doing this because if you go to the chat box on your app or your screen, you'll see a money symbol there and you'll see the button to do a super chat. Also, I'm going to show you something here too, because also here I have a links page. It's called Sparkles of Gold Links. I have some old videos there. I'm going to put this in the chat and you'll see important links of mine. On this thing here in the chat, which shows you how to book a session, my newsletter, Patreon, some old videos, and you could see here I actually have a PayPal and Venmo too. That I had somebody today, if you're all watching there, thank you so much for sending me a nice little something pre-stream. That's why I'm showing this to you, because they knew where to look. Very sweet of you. I didn't expect that, and thank you so much. And I want to say thank you to everybody that sent me messages privately, whatever, for my birthday last Thursday. I disappeared on my birthday. I did something that was great and rejuvenating for myself, and it reminds me I need to do more of that, right? I hope you enjoyed my forecast this week. You know how I do things. I had things come into my mind about certain things, and, came in a little prepared. I bought some books today. That made me happy. So for those donating, I'm like, I shouldn't be buying books. I got to watch my pennies right now the next 3 months. I did. And so you're helping me out with some books. I bought a fixed star book, and I bought something else that's going to help me with the way I do counseling techniques with my practice. I have plans on doing some courses in the fall that have to do with adding to my counseling skills, because I need so much more tools to help. Again, anytime you donate on this stream, it pays for my internet, my expenses. That's where the money goes, or any new thing I need for my live stream, or a course I need to take, all those types of things. I really appreciate it. It gives me a sense of like, oh, if I build this channel, then I wouldn't have to do other side gigs in the astrology world to pay my rent and to do whatever else. I'm just building my business, but I feel pretty good about it. Again, when you donate or get a reading, all that, I'm like, I'm on the right path. I'm there. So I appreciate it, okay? So yeah, again, thanks for the birthday messages. All right, so saying that, I think wait a second here. I hope I did this right. Sorry, I had to get off camera there for a second. Yeah. Let's finish this. All right, let me tell you a couple things. To get a lot of people booked readings when I had a discount code the last 2 weeks, so thank you for doing that. Got lots to do. I want to mention that I had to leave the Northwest Astrological Conference because I got sick early, but I watched all the videos. There's people I know here who follow me that bought the virtual end of the conference because they heard about it from me or applied for scholarships, and so when I talked to the person who runs the conference, they came to me and they said, Nicholas, not only, because I made 20 videos on the NORWAC, YouTube, and all those interviews that I did and a bunch of things. It was good to see certain people, and I pulled a couple interviews off before I had to leave. I'm going to post another interview this week. My Patreon members and YouTube channel members are going to see that interview. And then I have 2 other things I'm going to post in the next 10 days with other interviews that I did or people who interviewed me. Some cool stuff that's going to show. Right now, I am, besides my astrology, my practice, which I have times for the end of this month into July, I'm working for the United Astrology Conference that will happen outside or in Chicago the first weekend of September. I will be the person who is selling ads for the conference program. If you're a person out there who wants to advertise your astrology or whatever else, I'm the person to talk to. I'm also the marketplace director. We have 42 tables that I have to sell for that marketplace in person in Chicago. By the way, the marketplace in Chicago is free for anybody to walk through. It'll be all types of schools, astrology, software, whoever else. I'm actually going to have some tables available. If you are a practitioner of tarot or anything else, I will have small tables available for you to rent out for the weekend if you want to pull cards for 1,200 astrologers that will be in a hotel in Chicago next year. I'm the person to talk to. You can go to uacastrology.com. The formal email is there. I will put that up on the screen. I also was asked to do more things for the NORWAC conference next year. I'll talk about that down the line. Also, the next stream that I will do, I will highlight some other goings on in the astrology world. If you want to take classes and anything like that, I will highlight those things for you. Some interesting things that are happening in the next 6 months in the astrology world. I will totally show you where to go and all that stuff. I want to say hi to MC that sent a gift, a membership, which is cool. Oh, that is so cool. This is the first time this has happened on my stream, and I think it's amazing. And this is taken from Twitch. For any gamers and people who watch Twitch, you can subscribe to a channel every month or gift for a certain amount of thing, and you can also gift a membership to that, and YouTube allows you to do that. And MC here sent a membership gift to my channel, to Astro Stephanie here. That is very kind of you, MC, and thank you for utilizing that part of the thing here. All right. Steffi G, again, is supporting me like they do with a yellow. Oh, it says happy solar return. Thank you, Steffi G, for another donation to the channel. It looks like a birthday one. Tacos? No, I need, it's going to be broccoli. It's going to be a ton of broccoli and maybe some green beans. Okay, so say that again. Yeah, my birthday was last Thursday, Mila. But that is very cool that someone took advantage of that. All right, now while I finish my live stream with the card poll, I'm going to start a poll. And I'm interested, okay? Do you use Discord? And I'll add, okay? And there is a poll in chat. And I'm really curious here to answer this poll because there's something that I'm thinking about here. And I'm going to post this on my social media channels. I want to get a grasp of things because I have a little plan. I have a little something that I'm brewing. Okay, and it's related to a place for conversation to happen for my channel members, or maybe it's open to everybody, but it's going to have a certain intention involved. Okay, the intention has to do with this. It has to do with this. That you're prepared and I'm talented enough and I trust myself, and this whole thing I've been preaching about Pluto and Aquarius, it has to do with that, okay, in one sense. So, hey, Patrick, good to see you in chat, and thank you for the birthday wishes. And right back at you, my friend, by the way. So that's really cool. Yeah. So I'm researching it. I'll look at the poll. Give me no, I need to see the poll results. Okay, I see. So I see someone's going to learn. All right. So saying that, while we're looking at this poll, I'm going to get something ready in the background to end the stream. We're going to pull a card out of this deck over here, okay? And that's what I'm going to get ready. Mani says, I try to keep platforms to a minimum. Yeah, see, the thing is like I have Patreon and I have YouTube, but it's weird, like the social kind of chat thing on Patreon is sort of there, but it's not workable the way I like. And then on YouTube, it still hasn't kicked in the community chat the way I want it. There's posts there. The big streamers on YouTube are given like a community super chat thing, like off live streams, and it's not kicked in for me. So I'm trying to, anyway. Whoa, Lilac Tree, thank you. Thank you for the birthday gift. Fuck, man, you guys, man. Wow. Pretty wild. Thank you, Lilac Tree. Thanks for everybody who busted a move. Steffi G, all everybody today. Thank you so much. Says my super chat goal is going to end, but it doesn't matter. We're going to do what I promised. It looks like 50% on the Discord. Okay, I see. Thank you for doing the poll. Yeah. Thank you so much for the birthday wishes. And let's do a card pull, okay? Let's do this. Let's do this from a different deck this time. This is going to be an experiment before we get off. We're at an hour and 30. I think I'm in just right. All right. So, okay. So, here's the deck. It is the tarot, the Greek magical papyri. I said that correctly. You can look up Jason Augustus Newcomb. He's a occult practitioner. And thank you, Esmeralda. You're amazing too, by the way. Thank you so much. That's very kind of you guys. We're going to pull out of this PGM tarot deck. It's a wild deck. For those who know what the PGM is, I can only dabble in it here and there. I took a course on it last year. It's, you know, for those occult magic practitioners that are really weird and want to do really weird spells and shit. You got to acquire weird items, whatever. So anyway, here it is. Okay. I think I have. Don't know how well this is going to work, but let's do it. I didn't even see how many people are watching today. Yeah. Again, I put my links chat in there if you want to book a reading and or anything else. Yeah. Patreon members, I'm going to, while I shuffle the deck, Patreon members, we're going to do a live, and channel members, I'm going to do a live within the next 14 days, Zoom call for the month. That's going to happen. I just got to look at my schedule when to do it, most likely on a weekend as I do them. That's happening too. Well, there's a bunch of other stuff too. All right, let's do this. Patrick saying the deck is BGM's not weird. It's just old. Yes, exactly. It's old. There's a couple PGM books that are out there. A new one's coming out. Somebody I follow on Patreon, Patrick. Maybe you know who this person is. We could talk about it. All right, let's do it. We're dealing with an aftermath, but we're dealing with trying to ground ourselves with wild transits that we've had. And we talked about Jupiter and Cancer today and the effects, but how it comes into a Taurus moon weekend with Mars and Virgo. I think Mercury does have a say in a lot of things this week because Mars will be in Virgo and Mercury's in Cancer. Okay, I talked about that. We did the forecast. So I'm just pulling a card here. This one. I hope it's something I could figure out for. You gonna let me do this now or no? What's not gonna let me? Hold up, man. Front camera. Connect. No. We're gonna do back camera. Oh, it's not doing it. It lost its place. What happened? There's that. There is no. That's not what I'm trying to get. Wow. Whoa. What happened? I had a thing set up for us to look at the card. I'm going to have to do it manually again. I have my second phone. It's not working. All right. So for mighty Hercules, not even he escaped his doom. Whoa, man. That is no joke right there. Huh. I wonder if in this book, they're going to explain to me what this is. It comes with this book. It's so wild, this dude. It's got a tarot influence involved in it, and then it has all the Greek pantheon here. Then it has these sayings here too, So it's really hard for me to look at it because like where he's getting the quotes, because it's such a hold on. He's got the court cards. Oh, he's got the tens. This is hold on, I'm gonna find this. It's gonna take me a little bit. I'm sorry if we'll get to this. He breaks down the numbers to decad, enad. I gotta find this. I should have been prepared because this is a different deck. I'm gonna find it though. Just be patient, my friends. I think it's a fours. It's based on a 4 card, maybe? No, it's a 3. It's a 3. It's a triad. And I don't know if it might be a 3 of, no, it is. It's the equivalent of the 3 of swords. Okay, because you can see three of them, and you see the swords going through the person. For mighty Hercules, not even he escaped his doom. And so he has a translation. You could see here, he's got the 3s, see? All right, so let's read it. 3 of Swords, a warrior is being stabbed. A warrior is being stabbed from front and behind. Is it the problems you are looking at that are going to get you, or the ones that you have almost forgotten about? Or will it be both at once? The talisman is from the PGM 7, 41722, quote unquote, a restraining spell, a short little charm meant to be thrown into the river. See the spells for a way to use this talisman to rid yourself of things. Waite's interpretation is removal, absence, delay, division, rupture, dispersion, and all that the design signifies naturally, being too simple and obvious to call for specific enumeration. Kind of a little bit of Virgo vibes. And then he has his own interpretation, obviously a card about conflict, often traumas or scars from the past, re-emerging for the opportunity to be healed or to move past them. Yes. Anyway, I forget if it's on Etsy, but you can look up Jason Augustus Newcomb. The book and the deck are amazing. I mean, it's just like, it's got not just Greek, but there's Isis. What else? It's just got a bunch of other things. Like it's wild what he incorporated on the deck, and you can make different decks, smaller decks of just the gods and goddesses themselves, etc. And they all have meanings. I suggest getting the book because it comes with a little mini book, and it's not enough. As you could just see, I just figured it out on the fly. But it's very Virgo-ish that we had there. And I see that in chat. Yeah, Mani. But, here's Aphrodite, on and on and on. Super cool stuff. And it's wild. In the back of the book, they have, in relation to some of the cards, they have the metal, stones, and mineral products. You could see for some of the rituals, like chalk used for tracing circles, like clay. It's just pretty wild, this book. I just starting to get back into it because I've had a little bit of time. But, for some of the cards, it's just a basically dictionary in the back, like an appendix of material that people would use, but using the PGM from flowers, treats, and fruits and plants, and consecration rites language, which I'm not even into, but maybe one day. Opening rites, all this stuff. It's just like, it's pretty wild. And if you're the type of person that's getting into this or knows a little bit, I really suggest this because there's things you could read and all that, but it's a funny way to play with the cards that you kind of learn along the way when you do it. All right. And this is going on my altar because that is totally interesting. Oh, one more thing. I picked up this little book in the store the other day. Some weird little Pluto book. And it's called The Redeemer. Pluto, in aspect to the moon, increases the image-making power and acts according to position and can plan for a world's redemption. But the whole chart must be considered as to how much of this redemption is actually lived by the one who plans it for others. Too often it produces the preacher rather than the leader, but it confers the power of adeptship on the spiritually advanced. A very Moon in Aquarius definition would conjunct Pluto this weekend. There's the preachers or the leaders. I hope you're the leader, and I hope you had a taste of Steel and Fire this weekend and how you carry that in the future. I want to thank everybody for watching my stream and going with the flow with everything. Thank you, Patrick. The PGM is very much late antique synthesis of belief systems of Mediterranean. It's a mix of a bunch of them. I'm so glad I pulled out the deck for that one. And thank you for everyone who did the poll, okay? On that note, it's time to go. I have to go study and take a walk in the sun. This particular patch on this app is called Celestial Symphony. I'll see you guys online, all right? And appreciate the donations and everything today. I have a good week with the transits, doing your things and rituals, and take care of yourselves, okay? And be good to you, all right?